And we are live.
Now we wait for the tens of viewers to tune in.
Yeah, oh, look at that. We've already got a handful joining us. Thanks everyone who's in. We'll give it a minute here just to get a few more viewers in to discuss that riveting game tonight.
It was a game. The game happened.
I like putting it that way. It wasn't a masterpiece, but hey,
you're going to get like a handful of those.
Yeah,
as long as it ends in a win.
Oh, look at
that! And
that.
they covered. So
exactly. All right,
good
so while we've got
win, great teams cover. Sorry.
All right, we got a dime back. We can see your comments. We
can see them. Calm down, Tyler.
We see Tyler. So thanks everyone for joining us. Russ Steinberg of A Dime Back here to join me and go over and break down some of that UConn game we just saw. So Russ, thanks so much for hopping on tonight.
Thank you for having me.
But before we begin, I think you hinted to it online about the random memorabilia that you were going to be displaying in this live stream. So I got to know, and you got to explain to everyone what you've got there.
So I said that nobody on earth owns a more random piece of UConn memorabilia than this net right here. And this net comes from Madison Square Garden. It was the net that replaced the one that Kevin Ollie cut down after the 2014 East Regional. So it's like it's the second net of the 2014 Elite Eight.
I can't live up to Russ in terms of that memorabilia. All you got is the old kind of wrinkled 2010-11 Big East tournament T-shirt I got. So
I've got that line somewhere too. That's a good one.
On late notice, that's all I could do here. But Russ, again, thanks for having on. Why don't we start, Russ? Give me your initial thoughts on what we saw tonight.
They won the game. That's my initial thought. I mean, for 33 combined minutes, probably minus the first few and the last few, it was really an uninspiring offensive performance. It wasn't just a game where they were missing shots like that. That's going to happen. It was the senseless turnovers, poor decisions, really not a whole lot of movement. That was a little concerning. But what helped was that defensively for pretty much all of the game, they held strong, and that kept them in it. And, it was against DePaul, but, that's going to happen. And they stayed strong defensively. They were able to get a couple of buckets at the end, which they had, missed a few more free throws to make it a little more fun, but, can't have it all, I guess. At end of the day, it's a win. I'm not drinking hot sauce.
I know. I want to avoid the hot sauce for now. I don't think I was really negative today, so I don't think I have to. I've got some nice refreshing Coke Zero here to get me through.
Yeah, this is also Coke Zero.
But yeah, I think I echo everything you said there. It was just one of those grinded out wins. You don't have book night, third road game in a row. You just got to get out of there with the win somehow. And I think when you think of DePaul, you think of the really crappy DePaul teams that UConn is used to seeing in the Big East. And I'm not saying that this team is good by any means, but I don't think they're at the level that you used to see DePaul at, if you agree there.
That I do. Their record isn't going to reflect that. They're 1-4, but they have some pieces. I mean, Charlie Moore is a good player. Freeman Liberty's pretty good. Paulie Cap gave UConn some problems. Like they've got some guys. They're just not at the level that I think the rest of this league, maybe minus Georgetown, is at. And I think you saw it on full display in the game in Connecticut. Of course, this one, without book night and just kind of a listless performance, they looked a whole lot better. And I will give DePaul some credit. Defensively, they were really good. They did a good job of limiting the touches that Tyler Pauly was able to get. Mm-hmm. And they did kind of take UConn away from being able to establish any sort of flow. So I think they played a decent game. But you're right. I mean, UConn, end of the day, even without book night's just a better team.
It's always fun in these post games. Go the player of the game route. And I think my vote be Reese Martin tonight. I think he's that bully that UConn just missed for the past, I don't know how many years you want to go back till they had a guy like that you felt like could just pound it down low, could get those baskets at will. I mean, obviously, I don't know what it is about him missing some of these layups and bunnies around the rim there, but those are going to come, and he's going to hit those, and when he hits those, he's going to be even more dangerous. But right now, I really like what he's been able to do, especially in Bouknight's absence.
Yeah, and I hope he hits those eventually. It was a weird game from Martin because the first couple of minutes I thought he was great. He got really frustrated probably in the second half of the second half until maybe the last couple of minutes. But you're right. Once he decided that he can get to the basket, and if he can actually finish, he becomes a completely different player. And it wasn't his best game from the line either, and he got pretty frustrated, and you were able to tell. I think a couple of choice words might have snuck through the FS1 broadcast. I don't know if you caught that, but he got through it. And at the end of the day, UConn doesn't win this game without him.
Right, exactly. He was the one who was just who really powered them through it. I thought. I'm still a little concerned, and maybe you can walk me off the ledge here a little bit in terms of guard play. Without Bouknight there, it seems to just be really hit or miss with what you're getting. RJ Cole, Brendan, Gaffney. What are your thoughts on the guards? Because that's one area that's still a bit concerning for me.
Yeah, and I didn't expect it to be all that concerning going into this year. So it's definitely a big question mark. I think Gaffney has taken a step back from where he was end of last year. I don't think that's really deniable. Cole isn't the scorer that he was at Howard. I mean, I know different competition, obviously. He's still getting his legs under him after having to sit out a year. His shot does not look great. Brendan Adams, to his credit, I think for the kind of player that he is, has been solid. He's not anything special. He's a good, ideally maybe fourth guard to have. Unfortunately, he's had to start, with Bouknight out. But you're right. Without Bouknight there, I don't know really what UConn is getting from its back court, and that's something they're going to have to figure out. I'm not used to sitting here and saying UConn's bigs are a little bit more reliable. That doesn't seem like something that's really happened in the last million years, but it's the case. It's the case right now. I do think Cole is going to get better as the season goes on. I hope at least, just because he's better than what he's shown. But yeah, you're right. It is a little concerning.
And I do think Cole has shown signs of improvement from game to game here. Not necessarily huge steps, but I do think you are seeing it from him. The thing with Gaffney that gets me every game is he kind of plays in this middle ground, I feel like, between being too indecisive. Then at times he gets a little too amped. Like you saw that lob he tried to throw to Tyrese, and it's like, it just hits you, and you think that's not a Jalen Gaffney move that he's going to make. I feel like when he's out there, very steady, under control, kind of managing the game, and he's not going to be too flashy. But I think when it came to him tonight, you got a little bit of both of those there. And I do agree with you that I think for the first time, the bigs are a little bit more reliable, outside of Bouknight. Yeah,
with Gaffney. Particularly today, but I think at times all season, his decision-making has been really suspect. There were a couple of times tonight when he either got caught in the air and wasn't really sure where he was going, or he tried to force a pass that wasn't there. There was the lob you mentioned. A couple of times I think he tried to hit Whaley or Carlton inside. It wasn't there. If he was as good of a guard as he thinks he is, he'd be like all world. He's just not there. He's like a second or two behind where he imagines that he is. But I mean, we saw that he could be a really effective player last year. You have to hope he gets back to it. The good news is that he's not letting it affect him on the defensive end. He's been solid defensively this season. And I think that's the mark of a mature player, when you could really struggle like that on offense and not let it affect you the other way.
And it seems like the same with RJ, where he might be struggling a bit offensively. He's still playing pretty hard for the most part on defense. I think there were a couple times today I was like, he missed a shot, one of his weird floaters or whatever, and you could see him jog back a little bit. But for the most part, I think he's that guy that at least is giving you a really good defensive performance night in and night out. So where the guards go, we'll see. But I do think it was interesting to get a couple of these games without Bouknight to try to build some confidence. I'm not sure how much they did build, but at least get them in some sort of flow heading into the rest of the season, that it doesn't just have to be Bouknight out there, that these other guys can step up and do something.
Yeah, it's funny because after the Creighton game, when Bouknight had 40, I think the national consensus was, well, UConn looks pretty good, but who's their number 2 after Bouknight? So now you take Bouknight out of the equation for a couple of games, and you have a bunch of different guys stepping up. I think Whaley's kind of been there pretty much all year, but obviously you had the Tyler Pauly game against Marquette, Tyrese Martin. Carlton has looked good in spots. Now you have a Cook back as well, and I thought Sanogo defensively was pretty good tonight too. So you get to see different moments from the other guys, and I think that's been very effective, especially, of course, knowing that there's not a chance in hell Bouknight's here next year.
Yeah. And I think one thing when it comes to that question that everyone is asking about who is that second scorer, I don't think it has to be one person for this team. I think from game to game, you just kind of ride the hot hand. You had Tyler Pauly the past 2 games. You had Tyrese. It's just going to be someone different, I think, from night to night, but it's nice to have some options that, or at least you can hope that one of those guys is going to step up and be able to do it for you.
Yeah, this team has some depth, and that's also something we haven't really seen recently. Mm-hmm. And it's comforting to know that if you have a game, like tonight where Pauly isn't getting looks, he did get a couple of good transition threes, which was good. That was pretty much the only time UConn could hit him in a good spot. But if you have a guy like Pauly who's not getting his looks, you do still have other guys that you could go to. And tonight it was Martin. I thought Brendan Adams gave us some really good minutes tonight as well.
Yeah, I think he did. And I'm not the biggest Brendan fan based on some of my tweets I put out there in the past. But I think what you saw tonight was a good, serviceable performance.
Yeah, he's not great, but he got it done.
One thing that I think was interesting to me, and it's something that I can't seem to wrap my mind around. And I know Dan really likes the spark that Tyler Pauly can bring off the bench, but when he's hot as he is, I think I took 5+ minutes in the second half to get him involved, and they came out of the half looking so flat, couldn't hit anything. And it's what are you still doing throwing these lineups out there? What do you think it's going to take to get Pauly in that starting rotation, or do you think Dan Harley just wants him as that guy off the bench right now while he's hot and serve as that spark?
I wish I had a good answer for you. I really don't. I understand to an extent taking him off the bench. Personally, I would just start your best players because that makes sense to me. But I know coaches like to have that hot hand to bring off the bench. So fine, whatever. What I didn't understand was when they came out so flat in the second half, not going to Pauly right away and trying to run something for him. That surprised me. I think maybe I'm really just trying to find sense out of something that is nonsensical, but maybe Hurley's thinking is, because he strikes me as the kind of guy who might think like this. You guys are playing like crap. You figure it out, and just wanted to let them suffer for a couple of minutes, knowing it's DePaul.
Yeah,
maybe they'll win. But he was playing with fire, because even when Pauly came in, the team didn't look a whole lot better for a while. I would personally start him, but if you want to bring him off the bench, he's coming off the bench before that under 16 timeout.
Yeah, absolutely. That was my thought there. If you didn't want to start him, just start to go downhill. Feel like you had to put that trigger and bring him in. Luck out for them tonight. I think it worked out. They made it through. But I feel like just that first 10 minutes of that second half tonight were just so ugly. Couldn't seem to come to it. And I think they kind of had that come to Jesus moment where, oh shit, we can actually lose this game right now. We better get our crap together and go out there and win. I think Isaiah Whaley wasn't a big presence in the first half, but come second half, showed up, made some big plays, almost had a couple steals. Isaiah Whaley's steals are probably my favorite plays. I
said the same thing during the Butler game. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, it's so much fun to watch. And you could tell he just look at his face, and it's like he's the most excited he is when he gets the steal, which is fun to see. Yeah. See from him. What do you think? I thought Carlton got a little too much time tonight. I feel like when you could tell early whether or not it's going to be a good or a bad Josh game. And I feel like early on you could tell he just wasn't going to have that great game tonight. He's just seen I don't know, passes were just hitting his hands, he turned into stone again, threw a couple bad passes himself. What were your thoughts on him?
Carlton's kind of a funny player because he tends to be very good at turning it on as soon as I insult him. Because it seems like every game, I either tweet or post it in the Slack, like, get Carlton out of this game. And it's after he commits a dumb foul or goes up soft or, lets a guy score over him or something. And then he immediately starts making Josh Carlton plays. Tonight, I agree with you. This just didn't seem like the game for him. I would have liked to see a little bit more of Sanogo tonight. When he was in the game, he was either blocking shots or really affecting them. And I thought that was great to see. But Carlton, you're right. It's kind of hit or miss. He'll get his minutes, and I think he's earned them, especially after that game. Was it Hartford when he was basically benched? And then he came out really strong against USC, had a phenomenal game. We've seen what he's capable of. He has improved a lot in his time at UConn. Maybe he's been passed over a little bit, and that's understandable, but he's been a useful piece, probably a little too much tonight, as you mentioned. And also, Tyler, thank you. My hair does look good. I'm reading. Yeah, I know. Hold on. Alex Burkhardt, shout out to Alex. We used to play together at Pooh's Corner all the time when we were little. We go way back. We jumped Duke and Ken Pom.
There we go.
I'm guessing that's the first time in like a decade that's happened. So
probably, and to think it comes off such an ugly, grinded out game, that's the one that takes us over the top there. I like to see it. But back on the Carlton front, I know you talk about there's always like at least one play a game when he's out there that you just get really frustrated. And it was in the first half for me. There was one where he got called for an illegal screen where it had to be probably the laziest illegal screen. Like he was just kind of like half-assing it out there, like kind of threw his shoulder out a little bit. And you could tell like from a mile away, as soon as like he was just standing there, you knew they were going to call it. But it's the Carlton play of the game there.
Yeah, it's funny. I know exactly what play you're talking about, and I didn't see it because I was tweeting when it happened because I just heard the whistle and saw the point go the other way. I'm like, okay, I know what happened without even seeing it, just knowing where all the action was.
Yeah, exactly. It's just one of those plays you're going to get from him each and every game. If you're looking for things for UConn to improve out of today, I think free throw shooting's the first one that comes to my mind, but going from you, what do you want to see out of this UConn team as they've got some time off now to work because you've got the Villanova game postponed, so you're not playing again till next Monday.
Yeah, there's not much that I could definitively say won't look markedly different when book night returns. I see someone in the comments says turnovers. Yeah, that was bad tonight.
Yeah.
Really, at no point in this game did UConn run a decent half-court offense. Even in the end, when they put that run together to win the game, they were forcing live ball turnovers, which was great to see. And we're able to either score in transition, get to the foul line, or at the end just run out the clock, and it was great. But I'm not sure. I'm not a smart enough basketball mind to know exactly what DePaul did tonight.
Yeah,
but it seemed like they had a really good game plan against UConn, and they would not. After those first few minutes, when UConn was able to get into the lane kind of at will, and they went out to that 17-6 lead.
Yeah.
They took that away, and UConn, it seemed like, would not get inside of the 3-point arc.
Yeah.
Until maybe 7 or 8 seconds left in the shot clock. I'd like to see them work a little bit more on their half court sets, but I know that's an incredibly general thing to say. But that's the best I could give you at this point, and I know that improves when James Bouknight returns.
Absolutely. And I think that's going to be the question is how much longer is Bouknight going to be out for? I know they're kind of mum on how long exactly we get game time decision, but I think everyone kind of expected going into tonight that he wasn't going to be playing. And I think it makes sense that if he was if he is banged up, that in a game against DePaul, it's kind of worth throwing out the rest of the guys out there and seeing what they do. Yeah, and someone here is saying credit to Paul. Yeah, they definitely didn't. They definitely didn't fold tonight.
DePaul looked a lot better tonight than they did in that game against Gamble. They played a much better game.
Yeah, they did. They did. A little gift from Dave Lato at the end where he didn't foul there. Up 6 with like, what was it,
Yeah, what
38
was that
seconds
about?
left. Yeah.
It was,
One of the guys.
thank you. They covered, so
Yeah,
appreciate that. But
yeah.
he's
And
playing
then
the
you
game.
yeah, you get the kick coming out of that. And then it's like foul right away. And it's like, where was that for the past 20 seconds?
Yeah.
I'll take that. Win's a win overall. Some of these in the Big East, you're just gonna have to find it out and win they did tonight. I know we've had everyone on here for about 5 minutes or so, but any kind of closing thoughts from your end?
Well, if I could just say something about what you just said, it's the Big East. You got to grind these games out. If UConn won by 7 at East Carolina last year in this exact same game, we would be. I wouldn't be on right now because I would have thrown my computer at the wall. So it's great that that UConn's in a conference now where we could just kind of shrug our heads and go, it's the Big East.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you know what, DePaul, they're either the worst team in this league or the second worst, depending on how bad Georgetown is. They're still like a borderline Ken Pom top 100 team, which
I think they were
6th in the AAC. So
yeah, I think they were 91 today coming into the game. So like, hey, you'll take that.
Yeah.
Third road game in a row. You going up against a borderline top 100 Ken Pom team and down your best player and you pull it out. So
yeah, and now UConn's played 5 Big East games, and three in a row on the road, and they're 3-0 in those games. Like you cannot realistically ask for any more than that. And knowing now that they'll have a few more home games than away down the stretch, it's great. UConn's in a really good position.
Yeah, and I think that's what's been big for me these first couple games. I think heading into the Big East, it definitely is that step up from the American. So it was, and I know a lot of us were high on the team, and there were those people who were like, "Oh, you're going to the Big East. You got to, lower those expectations a little. It's going to be tough." And winning a game like they did at Marquette, take all the, the big comeback out of it. That was the game though that kind of concerned me when you thought about making that jump up. Like when you go on the road to play these middle tiered Big East teams, even if there are no fans in the building or what, are those games that they could win because they'd go to lower level AAC teams and lose on the road. So what are they going to do when they have to go to Marquette? That's a big step up from Tulsa or whatever. And so I'd have to say through this first stretch of Big East games, I'm pretty impressed with them. You got a week off now before you get another big stretch of games and kind of regroup. Hopefully Book Night gets healthy and kick things off at St. John's again.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to UConn actually playing a traditional Big East school. No disrespect to DePaul and Marquette and Creighton at all, because those are all,
Yeah.
DePaul and Marquette kind of go back to 06, and Creighton's really good. Okay, a little bit of disrespect to them, but I'm looking forward to St. John's.
Yeah, I am too. It should be a fun one. Give everyone a week to regroup and get at it. So Russ, thanks so much for hopping on tonight. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Anytime. All right. Thanks everyone. Be sure to follow both Russ and I. We'll get you through these times.
Mostly follow me.
Yeah. no hot sauce tonight. Maybe
no, this is Coke Zero.
Yeah. Maybe next time. Russ, thanks again. Have a good one.
Hey, you too.
Bye.